Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC, your ultimate home for all things Liverpool. Today we've got massive updates. A fresh transfer battle for Marc Guehi with Man City entering the race, Arne Slot making ruthless decisions that could reshape the squad, and Alexis Mac Allister at the center of Premier League drama. Stick around, you won't want to miss this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with every twist and turn in the transfer window. Liverpool poised for fresh Marc Guehi transfer battle as Man City enters race. Marc Guehi's proposed move to Liverpool on deadline day fell through, and the centre-back will become a free agent next summer. With a host of clubs ready to make a move, Manchester City is reportedly preparing to challenge Liverpool in the race to sign Marc Guehi on a free transfer next summer. This could potentially spark a massive transfer battle between two of the Premier League's top clubs for the England defender. Guhei, 25, was close to a $48 million, $35 million move to Liverpool on deadline day, but the deal fell through at the last minute when Crystal Palace decided against it. This has opened up opportunities for other clubs as Guhei will be out of contract next summer. This situation has caught the attention of several big European clubs, including Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, and Juventus. However, there is also a strong possibility that he might stay in the Premier League as Liverpool is expected to renew its interest next summer and believes it has an upper hand in securing Guehi's signature. However, the Reds now face serious competition from Manchester City, who is known to admire the talented centre-back, reports the Mirror. It was evident during the last transfer window that Guhei had made up his mind to either join Liverpool or see out his contract and move on a free transfer next summer. As a result, City did not compete with Liverpool's interest during the last window, but this is likely to change next summer. There is no chance of Guhei moving in January, as he has reaffirmed his commitment to Palace for this season, and the fans have shown him immense support due to his professional conduct throughout the transfer saga. However, Guehi's potential for a more lucrative contract is heightened as clubs scramble for his signature, given the rarity of a player of his caliber and age moving on a free transfer. Chelsea have also been linked with Guhei, with Enzo Maresca being a known admirer, but it seems highly unlikely he would return to the club where he began his career in the academy ranks. Yet, there is significant interest from overseas. Real Madrid, known for splashing out on forwards and securing defenders on budget or free deals like they did with Trent Alexander-Arnold, are reportedly keen. Barcelona are also said to be interested, and Guehi's Ivorian passport, which qualifies him as an EU player in Spain, makes him an even more appealing prospect for the La Liga Titans at Bayern Munich. Having made a hugely successful signing in Harry Kane, are also believed to be interested and would see Guhei as a brilliant deal on a free. Foreign clubs can initiate talks with Guhei from 1st of January and secure a pre-contract agreement, potentially giving them an edge over Premier League teams. Liverpool change likely after Arne Slot's latest ruthless decision as midfield point made Liverpool analysis after the Premier League match against Burnley at Turf Moor. Arne Slot has never been scared of making difficult decisions. You only need to think back to his first game as Liverpool head coach, when Jarell Quansah was hooked at halftime against Ipswich Town for proof of that. He would not even wait for the interval for his latest ruthless change. He had seen enough after 38 minutes at Turf Moor with the already booked Milos Kerkez, this time the man hastily withdrawn. In truth, the 21-year-old only had himself to blame. Cautioned in the 22nd minute for a cheap dive in the Burnley box, Liverpool legend Jamie Carragher lambasted the fullback as absolutely stupid. Soon after, he conceded a free kick inside his own half when stopping a Burnley counter in its tracks. While there was never any threat of a second yellow card, Slot was well aware of the disciplinary tightrope the 40-minute man was now walking and acted accordingly. Andy Robertson was sent on in Kerkez's place, with the frustrated Departie engaging in a brief exchange with his head coach before taking his place in the dugout. Were it not for his earlier dive, he would likely have still been on the field. It has not been the easiest start for the Hungarian at Liverpool. He was withdrawn on the hour mark on the opening day of the Premier League against AFC Bournemouth after being booked in the first half, with history then repeating itself at Burnley. He was also at fault for Newcastle United's first goal in the Reds' 3-2 victory next time out. And while it was a much-improved performance from the left-back in the 1-0 victory over Arsenal before the international break, this was not how he would have wanted to push on. It would perhaps be little surprise if Robertson is now handed his first start of the season next time out. Against Atletico Madrid, ironically the side the Scot could have easily left the Reds for in the summer. Speaking during the international break, he admitted he had had to make a decision about his future for the first time in his Liverpool career. But happy with the choice he made, he was confident opportunities were only around the corner. When we get back, we have pretty much 3 games every week from the Sunday we get back until the next international break, he said. So I'm sure there will be a bit more rotation. Whether it happens in my position is yet to be seen. None of us can look into the future. But I believe I've done everything I can to be in the manager's thoughts, and that's all I can do. He perhaps did not expect to prove him right so swiftly, but with Kirkez taking his time to settle at Anfield, Liverpool can at least be thankful that the ever-reliable Robertson did decide to stay put. Arne Slot has shown how he'll deal with unhappy Liverpool star with behavior on team bus. Arne Slot has already shown he can handle unhappy players in the dressing room after admitting Federico Chiesa was upset at being snubbed for Liverpool's upcoming Champions League campaign. Arne Slot has already proven his ability to manage disgruntled players using a method that's worth its weight in gold. The Liverpool boss admitted last week that Federico Chiesa was unhappy after being omitted from his Champions League squad. The Italian forward, 27, will miss out on representing the English champions in the competition's league phase, with the manager selecting 17-year-old wonder kid Rion Gumoha ahead of the Euro 2020 champion. Chiesa made a vital contribution in August by scoring the Reds' opening day winner against Bournemouth. However, despite featuring in each of Liverpool's first 4 Premier League matches, he has managed fewer than 50 minutes of playing time in total. He likely would have secured a place in the squad had the club succeeded in completing the deadline day signing of Marc Guehi. That's because new arrival Giovanni Leone, who cannot be registered on Liverpool's homegrown spot, might have been excluded instead. As Slot wouldn't have required an additional defensive option, Chiesa ultimately fell victim to Slot's decision. And the Dutch boss acknowledged before Sunday's trip to Burnley that the player was disappointed. Of course, that is one of the most difficult things you have to do as a manager, Slot said. For a player not to play, it is not always easy to tell them, but not to be in the squad is always more difficult. I just explained to him why we made this choice. Of course, he wasn't happy with that. I think he understood my arguments. That is not to say he agreed with them. He didn't tell me, by the way, that he didn't agree with them, but he gave me the answer you want to hear from a player, that he will be there to help the team in the cups and in the league. That's one thing to say, but I think he also showed this because he wasn't selected, but he worked really hard. These days, to be ready for the upcoming days, that is even more important than what a player tells you. According to Panathinaikos striker Cyril Dessers, Slot knows exactly how to handle such tricky situations, and his man management skills will undoubtedly prevent the matter from escalating any further. The Nigeria international once found himself in a similar position when Slot decided to bench his then-star striker at Feyenoord. But the head coach managed to turn Dessers' thinking around with an honest conversation on the team bus, which ended up changing the player's entire career trajectory. Dessers recalled, "When I was at Feyenoord, there was a match Arne Slot started with Brian Linson instead of me against Heerenveen. I was so disappointed. Arne Slot has sold an animal who's making history away from Liverpool and scoring for fun. Arne Slot will have little regret over his summer transfer business at Liverpool after they maintained a perfect start to the 2025-26 campaign. Mohamed Salah ended his 6-year Turf Moor drought when he converted a 95th-minute penalty to rescue the 3 points in a 1-0 win over Burnley. The Reds embarked on a frivolous summer rebuild project at Anfield as several long-standing first-team stars departed for pastures new. Harvey Elliott completed a move to Aston Villa on deadline day, and he was the final established senior squad member to be moved on after a host of new star-studded additions were acquired. However, as British record signing Alexander Isak was excluded from the matchday squad and Hugo Ekitike struggled to find the solution against a stubborn Burnley defense, One forward who Slot allowed to leave Anfield this summer was making his history at his new club. Luis Diaz makes Bundesliga history at Bayern Munich. According to Emia Sanmia on X, Luis Diaz became the fourth Bayern Munich signing in history to score in all three of his first Bundesliga appearances for the club. Diaz has joined illustrious company alongside Ruggiero Rizzitelli, Luca Toni, and Mario Mandzukic in the record books at the Allianz Arena. The 28-year-old scored in the 29th minute during the 5-0 win against Hamburg on Saturday as he takes his sensational Bundesliga tally to 3 goals and 2 assists in his opening 3 fixtures. Despite Diaz enduring an underwhelming DFB Pokal debut, he has hit the ground running in Germany and has added a new dimension to Vincent Kompany's attack. As TBR Football previously reported, Diaz felt it was the right time to leave Liverpool after winning the Premier League title last season, meaning he left England having claimed all domestic silverware on offer. Indeed, Diaz could have remained at Liverpool for the foreseeable future had the club reached a compromise with the player's entourage regarding a new deal. Slot instead allowed the Colombian to depart Anfield and has placed his trust in Cody Gakpo to be the leading man on the left flank for the Reds. And the Dutchman has proved invaluable after also enjoying an impressive start to the campaign. Alexis Mac Allister sparks. Burnley fume as Mikel Arteta proven right over Liverpool decision moments. You may not have spotted during Liverpool's Premier League clash against Burnley on Sunday afternoon. Liverpool continued the new Premier League season with a hard-earned victory at Burnley on Sunday afternoon. The Reds dominated a one-sided game, but struggled to break down a resolute Claret's rearguard until they were awarded a penalty deep into additional time that was converted by Mohamed Salah. The result moved the Reds 3 points clear at the top of the early table and maintained their 100% record after 4 games. But there was plenty that went unnoticed or under the radar during the 90 minutes, and a bit more. At Turf Moor, the Turf Moor crowd is notorious for being a bit grumpy at the best of times, and it didn't take long for them to find reason to air their ire on Sunday. Alexis Mac Allister was the subject of their angst. Initially for having the temerity to be on the receiving end of a poor challenge from Leslie Ugachukwu, and then for failing to leave and subsequently re-enter the field having had treatment. However, it turns out the rules state Mac Allister didn't have to depart to the touchline as he had been on the receiving end of a foul that resulted in a caution. Who knew? Hartman breaker Hannibal Mejbri probably wouldn't be the greatest competitor in a game of poker. While some footballers go to great lengths to hide a possible foul, the Burnley substitute's reaction to the ball striking his arm to concede the winning penalty effectively made up the mind of referee Michael Oliver to award the spot kick. That, though, was nothing compared to the response of Claret's teammate and Arne Slot's former Feyenoord left-back Quilinci Hartman. The Holland international put his hands to his face and then dropped to the floor, where he remained for some time. Such is the emotion of the game. Classy Virgil, there was a nice touch after the game in the mixed zone, the area where the assembled hacks attempt to get a word or two from players post-match. Before stopping for a chat, Virgil van Dijk made a point of making a FaceTime call to congratulate an under-13 Liverpool side which had participated in the Van Dijk Legacy Tournament at his former club Willem de Soo. The young Reds beat Manchester City in the semi-final before overcoming Feyenoord in the final. Not a bad day for Liverpool, then. Pundit reveals what gives Arteta edge over Slot in chase for Premier League glory, unbeaten in 4 and off to a perfect start. Liverpool may look like the real deal, but one pundit believes the Premier League champions aren't quite there yet. The Reds beat the Gunners 1-0 at Anfield before the international break, with even Arne Slot admitting the defeat was harsh and would be normally a draw if it hadn't been for Soboslai's stunner. Liverpool then really struggled away to newly promoted Burnley on Sunday, winning with a penalty in injury time. What luck. Dean Saunders argued that the Reds are still not at their best. Arne Slot's selection. Headache Saunders suggested that, compared to Arsenal, Liverpool are yet to strike the right balance in their team selection, a flaw that could come back to haunt them. I keep saying, Liverpool only lost 2 games last season, so it's going to be difficult to get in front of them. "I've got a feeling Arsenal might do it," Saunders said. "Only because Liverpool have got that many new players? Surely they can't just slot in perfectly without defeats. Sometimes, when you're trying so hard to keep your head above water, you forget about the team. Frimpong, Kirkes, they've got to fit in. I think Arsenal are a more settled outfit, and now they've made some good signings. I think they could do it." Arsenal's quiet statement, though not off to a flying start. Arsenal's campaign has been quietly impressive. The only points they've dropped came against Liverpool, a formidable opponent in a match that could have gone either way. Their response against Nottingham Forest painted a perfect picture of how formidable this Arsenal side is. Despite missing key players, Arteta fielded a reshuffled Axel, introducing a brand new attack, a fresh midfield pairing, and handing Christian Mosquera a start in place of William Saliba. Yet the performance levels didn't dip. Arsenal looked sharp, organized, and dangerous. Shay Given has already tipped them as genuine title contenders, given their strong squad, and it's hard to argue. This is a team with depth, resilience, and tactical flexibility. While Arne Slot continues to wrestle with how best to integrate his summer signings, Liverpool appear to be riding their luck. Arsenal, meanwhile, should be primed to capitalize on any slip from their title rivals. Your thoughts appreciated in the comments.